everybody, this is DVU Reviews here, and today we'll be talking about a action NECA figure which is called Godzilla, and that is this figure right here, and it's amazing. NECA Godzilla 1962. Now before we start this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below from what do you think about this figure. Would you get it? Would you buy it? Would you use it for your videos? Then click on eBay or go any type of website to buy this figure. But remember, it costs. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now before we go into this figure, I would like to share a backstory. How did I buy this figure? Which is pretty important for me. I actually bought this figure, not actually right now as I make this video right now. I did not already bought this figure from computer or any type of website. I actually bought this online on eBay a year earlier, which is probably 7 April 2020. So yeah, I actually got this figure a year earlier than what you guys expected, as you can see it on my YouTube channel. So when this NECA figure really came to home successfully, I started using this figure for many entertainments in my video and apparitions, especially my channel, because it is a cinematic universe. And all I can say, honestly, it did just pretty well. If you go to my channel, to my video history by clicking on video, of course, and you can see a bunch of my Godzilla videos that I made a year earlier, and honestly they probably did very well. But the most concerning thing about it is there were no comments, no likes. Of course my channel at that time wasn't verified, and therefore just, you know, isn't too much open for everyone to see my Godzilla videos. And one thing to say, that I did not use stop motion for this figure, but I actually indeed use it for hand and video pad. So I have to move this figure by my hand in order to make it look like the Godzilla is just moving without stop motion. And a video pad, I was trying to do a lot of cuts as much as possible in order to make it look like stop motion. But honestly, I don't know if that's too much correct on me. So anyway, I hope that's all the backstory I have. So let's get into the figure right now. Going to the number one of the stage is the design. The most important part of this figure. The design, of course. Now, unlike in the movie King Kong vs. Godzilla 1962, Godzilla is a huge, ginormous radioactive dinosaur that is born in 1954 originally and starts wreaking havoc in Japan as its original sole agenda. And once he evolved probably like 9 years later, from 1954 to 1962, he evolved and became this version of Godzilla, which I think is by far my favorite version of Godzilla. The suit was renamed as King Goji. Of course, in every movie of the Showa era, every suit of this Godzilla behind the scenes has its own nickname in its Goji name. But I could not remember all the suits, but I remember this guy that its nickname is King Goji, which is kind of like awesome. Honestly. Now going to the design anyways, we're going to start from head to tail. The head is pretty awesome. It looks absolutely adorable, but creepy at the same time because he looks pretty angry at something. I love the eyebrows so much because his eyebrows, they really do make Godzilla more intimidating in his look. The eyes are also nicely colored and detailed. His cheeks are also really adorably made. And one of the most fascinating parts of this figure is his muscles on his jaws. As you can see here, this little hole right here, as you can see here, looks like a part of a muscle is being inverted into the jaws to make him look like a very realistic prehistoric dinosaur. And the teeth, and we can also see the tongue, of course, and the teeth are also nicely well done. They're pretty sharp if you do it like this. From the underside of his mouth, we have jaws, of course, but from the upper side of his mouth, yeah, the upper side, they also look awesome, but once the figure stands like this, you barely can see the jaws, unlike in the movie. His fangs are removed because, of course, of the evolution Godzilla is going through. And of course, if you tilt it, you can see the jaws inside his mouth. And going to the neck, the neck is also nicely well done. It's full of scales, skin. Of course, the skin is very, very scarred, of course, because of the atomic bonds that has been done to him. And those tiny little scars became his skin. And that skin became a hardened like metal, which makes him incredibly indestructible force of nature. Now going to the dorsal plates, my favorite part. The dorsal plates, I need to say, are downright awesome. They are nicely well sculpted, nicely well detailed, and made of rubber. As you can see, I am actually twisting it back and forth. And they're all made of rubber, but if you look closely at the design, you can actually see radioactive like holes protruding from its dorsal plates, all signs of radiation. Absolutely awesome. And going through the next, those other parts of dorsal plates, which I think, yeah, is in between, because those dorsal plates are way bended into his back, because the sculptors may think, yeah, it doesn't fit pretty much there, so we have to make it like this. And this side right here also did a pretty much a concerned thing. As you can see here, this dorsal plate is moved a little bit to the right here, moving to a wrong direction right here, because of this outer dorsal plate mini right there. It's, you know, almost wrong sculpted right there, but still good at the same time. It doesn't mean to be so bad. Now going to the torso and the stomach. Yeah, it also has the same scales, but it shows a lot of muscle and a lot of power inside of it. As you can see here, it's completely greatly well done. I can tell it. I have no words for this figure. Now the feet, the legs, also they're pretty much of a good scale, same right there, but they are also almost theropod-like, as you can see, but these are just jointed right here to make it look like a bipedal great creature. His foot also did a great job right there, as it has no toes. Of course, in the movie, Godzilla has no toes because they were removed because of his evolution. Now going to the tail, we can see the dorsal plates running down all the way on to his tail as it goes. Also same scales, but also those lines on his tail. Of course, in the movie, behind the scenes, it is being done by a rubbery suit, particle effects, so it has to be made like this, like a rubber snake, if you call it, at least. If you toss it around, then you get this moved, just like Godzilla's tail is, but only much, much heavier than what you might expect. Now going to the claws right here, I forgot to say, the claws are nicely well done. They are sharp, they are nicely painted white, and they almost look like they're made from wood as you tap it a little bit, but that's not wood, it's plastic. nicely well done. Probably my favorite design for this is, of course, his head. Honestly, it's really nice well done. You can see his eyebrows running down onto his eyes and through his mouth to his nose right here. That's awesome. We are complete with the stage number 1. Now we are going to the articulations. The articulation. Yes, my favorite part of this whole review, the articulation from head to tail. Alright, there we go. Now going to the head, it doesn't have much of articulation, but of course it does. It opens its mouth, just like this, to roar or to spew his atomic breath. His mouth does move very greatly, but in the movie, I saw one little difference in the movie. His mouth opens wider, while this figure, yeah, pretty much opens a little bit, but not bad at the same time. It doesn't to be really bad, so go ahead for that. Now his head rotates very well. It does 360 degrees, which pretty much concerns, because if you do a video or stop motion video about this figure and you do this 360 degrees, it may look like Godzilla is just insane, which raises concerns on your videos. Now going to the neck, of course, the neck also does a bit of a 360 degrees. It also goes up and down a little bit. And if it wants to look up, you can't just basically go any further up like that. So this is just his maximum things and stuff like that. And going down, he just looks down much more than looking up, of course. Still not bad though. Now going to the torso, well, his torso does move very well, just like this. Twist and twist back and forth like that, and sideways. But because of those outer plates right here, his torso can move further. And if you do it like this, yeah, by force, then you probably break it and ruin your entire figure. You definitely don't want that to happen. And not much of a torso is to be saying, but what I think about the torso is that the sculptors should have doing a more flexible look, but I don't know. Now going to the arms, both of the arms, yes, the arms. His arms, this joint right here, also does 360 degrees. It does also move a bit sideways, but it cannot if it wants to clap his hands just like in the movie. Then he should also do the figure, but no, because of the clay and the figure just a bit blocking it, it just can't just move back. It just can't move all the way into his other arm, clapping, which is pretty disappointing. Still liked it though, not bad. Now the other joint of his arm, the elbow, yeah, it's not moving at all. Of course, it's really hard, almost like 90 degrees. And if you rotate it by force, just like I said previously, if you rotate it by force, then the joint will eventually break away and dislocate the entire arm, ruining your figure entirely. You don't want that. Now going to the hand, his hand does 360 degrees. His fingers also does move, but not really much. But if you're doing it a bit hard, then you are able to move it a little bit, and you make Godzilla look like he's doing a fist punch right here. Alright, anyway. Alright, going to the other arm. Very same, everything same, just like on this arm. Does 360 degrees, but this elbow isn't working too much, but does rotate very well. Well, very hardly, of course. His hand also does 360 degrees, and fingers also move, but these fingers move much easier than on the other hand right here. This finger articulation is also very useful enough to make Godzilla to hold something, like a sword or even a tree if he wants to shove it down on somebody's throat. pretty cool, but savage. Now moving on to his thick legs. Yeah, his thick legs are nicely well done. Yeah, the articulation right here. Yeah, they do move very well, but only 90 degrees instead of 360 degrees. Well, if it did do 360 degrees, then it will make a little bit more of a concern of a figure, because a creature this size and this thick can't do any 360 degrees, but oh well. Now the knee, yeah, the knee also does move very well, but also at a 90-degree rotation, which pretty much is good. And also the foot, his tallest foot. His foot also does 360 degrees and also does going a little bit sideways, as you can see here. But don't do it by force, because I can see in some videos of doing others reviewing the same figure, they accidentally broke his foot, so keep that in mind. Now everything's the same here, just like on this foot, just like on this leg. He does do 90 degrees. The knee also does 90 degrees, and his foot does 360 degrees. Alright, we got all the proper body. Now we are going to his tail, his long thick tail. His tail has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 5 joints. These 5 joints are, yeah, not too much flexible, as you can see here. It's a bit hard. Of course, it's made from plastic and clay. The tail, yeah, it's really nicely well done. But as you do this, you have to make sure about this part right here, because if you rotate it too wild like this, then this joint will eventually break up from this figure and the tail itself. Of course, once you unbox it, you have to put into it hot water to make it go easy through the hole and return it to its proper body. Pretty cool. The tail is very useful for Godzilla to swipe on someone and knocking him down unconscious. Absolutely great article right here. Great. I love it. Yep, I think I got all the articulations explained here. So, without further ado, let's get into this next stage. The unboxing setup. Yep, probably my favorite part. Well, honestly, a big favorite part of this whole review video. The box in which Godzilla was used to be packed in there is this box right here. Just fully made from cardboard, nicely well done, made by NECA, and it's all written in Japanese right here. And probably one of my favorite part of this whole box is this part. We can see King Kong and Godzilla fighting what looks like to be a burning city right here. And we have some cast of characters, of course, Japanese. Yeah, I really love Japan for its creative stuff and particle effects, especially bringing Godzilla to life since 1954. And I don't know what Kong means in Japanese, but I understand these words right here. That's Gojira in Japanese, Godzilla. Yeah, very great stuff. I don't know what here says, so I don't know about that. Now rotating it to the other side, we can, yeah, pretty much see the same title, saying Godzilla and Kong fighting right here. And here we see English writing King Kong versus Godzilla, and a pictogram of 65th anniversary of Godzilla, 1954-2019. And we can actually see Shin Godzilla standing over it. Absolutely amazing. Now this is my favorite part of this entire box. We can actually see here almost announcements of this box about this figure, what it tells and what it can do, especially this. We will talk about this later, the heat ray atomic breath. We can see Godzilla standing over here, and it says something here which I think is pretty hilarious. Godzilla, will you win? Probably yes, but in 1962, however, there were two actually endings. Go look on YouTube and go type Godzilla 1962 ending explained. And we see here the battle of the century. I really do agree, because Godzilla and Kong are the mightiest monsters of all time. And of course the heat ray, which I will talk about that later. And right here is a text about the battle of Godzilla vs. Kong. The motion picture screen beckons you to adventure that fills them emotional with shock and terror. Two giant monsters converge on Japan for a colossal collision, but in this final bout, which one will emerge victorious? Brace yourself, it's cataclysmic, it's catastrophic. The titanic, terrifying battle between the mightiest monsters of all time, King Kong versus Godzilla. Pretty cool. And right here on the downside here, we can see TM and Toho. Of course, this NECA is being supported by Toho because Japan really loves Godzilla figures, because it needs to spread its toys everywhere to demand joy, of course. Now to the upper right here, yeah, pretty same title, the NECA pictogram right here, but here this is something you should better keep in mind. Warning, choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years. Yeah, this is something you should better keep in mind. Like, if you have a child and your child is trying to play with a figure but accidentally breaks it and swallows it, then you're probably in big trouble. So keep this in mind. Ages 14 and up. Yep, this is probably my favorite part. 14 and up. You may think that this figure is only for children. No, it's for everybody. For adults, and call whoever you want to. Pretty respectful stuff right there. Now, time to open this box, which I think is the favorite part of this whole box. We have a lot of posters right here. You can see here the sunlight is a bit, annoying. Yeah, this is much better. This poster right here shows Godzilla, what looks like to be a destroyed city, and on the background we can see Mount Fuji. Of course, Godzilla and Kong fought there in the movie 1962, and he probably destroyed the city, maybe, probably Tokyo. And this is where you used Godzilla to be in, and once I bought him, I actually freed him from this, boxy prison. Alright, we are done with the boxing setup right here. This was the final stage, and we are almost at the end of the video, but yeah, we have to talk about more about this figure, because I'm actually really impressed by it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, before this video will come to an end, the review, I would like to conclude something for this figure. This figure, because of his design, because of his great articulation stuff right there, I really have to make sure that this figure is indeed successful in my YouTube channel, because he really is the glue of my cinematic universe. I really want him to come back in my channel. Of course, he's been through previous videos and stuff like that. If you go to my channel, like I previously said, and there you can find my previous Godzilla videos. And a year later, maybe, Godzilla is nowhere to be found in my channel, because I was almost out of plans, so I did mapping videos and it was a great success. Just like I did a full movie, Yugoslavia the Uprising, and then came numerous more new entertaining adventure movies like Balkaba's 2, Gorford Returns, and almost Raya and the Last Dragon Easter eggs that you guys may notice in my channel. But what about Godzilla, you may ask? Yeah, Godzilla probably may return in the future in my cinematic universe because I really love him. He is just the glue of my cinematic universe because he is a force of entertainment. He is a force of nature, the savior of humanity according to the monsterverse. But you know, that doesn't need it to be true because Godzilla is just an absolute force of nature. But I want to make my Godzilla right here to be the true savior of humanity and the force of nature, of course, rather than being a absolute force of nature. So once my channel is improving a bit, well, I started to feel bad about Godzilla because I was almost out of plants. Just like I previously said, I have to work this on hand instead of stop motion and get many cuts in video pad as much as possible. And yeah, Godzilla has been through a lot in history of my DVU cinematic universe. He's been fighting crazy monsters like the snake demon and making friends with a alien-like creature Cloverfield and stuff like that, saving the world. So yeah, I will give this figure a 10. Not gonna lie, it's a 10 because I love this figure. Its articulation, which will be extremely great for my cinematic universe. I have no words, man. I'm just impressed. So yeah, once my cinematic universe, my channel, is improving well and new videos and movies are coming, I want to make sure that Godzilla will come back at any time soon in the future and to improve my channel much greatly than ever before. Godzilla really is the savior of my channel. And to make him return in my channel, I'm going to use stop motion because of its articulation, of course. Stop motion is maybe the better thing rather than video pad. So I will learn that in the coming days. Now the one thing before I will end this video, I forgot to explain his atomic breath, of course. Yes, his atomic breath. Like I said in the box setup, I will do that later because the atomic breath is a bit of a big deal, but it's still a great deal about that. So here we have the original atomic breath and my homemade atomic breath, the blue, which I made a year ago. So hopefully it will be better for him. Which one will he choose? No, I will choose, of course. Now going with this atomic breath, what you need to do is that you have to shove this into his mouth. And there you go. See? He's spewing his atomic breath. Now one thing I want to say about his atomic breath is why is it white? Now you may ask yourself, why is his atomic breath white? It's because of the sculptors, they fought back as the 1954's Godzilla. In the 1954 Godzilla movie, his atomic breath was white. And so did they do to this figure, the 1954 Godzilla NECA figure, if they had it. And they did the same thing as to this figure, the 1962 NECA. Because the reason why they did this is because Godzilla was a bit of an old-time character. Maybe because of that. So without further ado, I really think that Godzilla's white atomic breath isn't bad enough. But there's one main issue. If you want to aim Godzilla at the air, yeah, you see his head will tilt down. It will just come down because the atomic breath is too heavy. You see, this atomic breath really has a lot of weight about it, and the head is a bit lighter. So if you do it by force, then even when it's out, it will cause stress. So keep that in mind. Now going to my homemade atomic breath, I made it a year ago, which I think is best, but it's a bit of the same thing as the white atomic breath right here. And this atomic breath really does a bit well. Yeah, I see. I shoved it into his mouth and then there we go. My homemade atomic breath. It's blue just like in the modern movies. And it's pretty much the same thing as this one, but without the issue of his head being tilted down. Of course, I made this from paper and stiffed, and I bended this sideways to prevent the paper from bending. It's pretty smart for me. And that concludes the end of this review video about Godzilla 1962 NECA action figure. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment down below from what do you think about this figure and if you want to buy it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Bye!